everyone, meteorologist Shane Smith here with another video blog. It is Monday, January 24th, 2011. It is just before 3 o'clock on the East Coast. We're actually at about 2:45 right now. And now it's time to talk about the upcoming winter storm for Wednesday that has been driving me bonkers today. So let's talk about a little bit about what the models have done the past three runs and what I think is going to happen. Let's waste no time. Get to the maps up in the top right corner. And hey, we got video Shane this time, so you can see all my animated facial reactions as I was looking through the models this morning. Anyway, we'll start it off looking at the OZ and GFS from last night. Notice low pressure developing down into the Gulf of Mexico. We'll give that the nice big circle. And yeah, this is going to be the storm that could potentially bring some decent snowfall to much of Kentucky and West Virginia. The exact question is where and how much. And looking at this run of the GFS, you would say, well, for Kentucky, not a lot of snow. We're pausing here at, this is 1 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon, and notice just light snowfall amounts going on in eastern Kentucky, except for far eastern Kentucky over towards around Pike County. They would be picking up on a little bit more. We'd say general light accumulation from Bowling Green over to London, up to Lexington. Uh, right around I-75, be lucky to get 2 or 4 inches, according to this run. More in eastern Kentucky, southern West Virginia. Picking up pretty decent snowfall from that run of the GFS. Yeah, about 6 to 8 inches, maybe a little bit more once the upslope machine kicks in. So that's what the GFS said last night. Here's a look at the NAM. And holy convective feedback, Batman. Notice down there in the Gulf of Mexico how it's trying to drag the low farther south and showing those areas of purple there right under the low. The model was blowing up storms in the Gulf of Mexico and trying to drag all the surface features towards it. And that's a known issue with some of the computer models, and unfortunately I think it just pulled the low too far south and eventually too far east, and then even trying to go for this whole double barrel low pressure. It was kind of like, ew, that doesn't look too sound meteorologically, but okay. Not spitting out much of anything for Kentucky, and just light accumulation of snow for West Virginia. So that was my first two models in the morning. Then I looked at all the foreign models. The easiest one to show is the Canadian, and it was showing holy snow. This is Wednesday, 7 a.m. Notice darker blue showing up into portions of Kentucky and West Virginia. That could be snowfall rates of up to an inch per hour. Yeah, some good heavy wet snow. You snow lovers, that's the kind of snow that you remember. And that continues in West Virginia into the afternoon. That run of the Canadian putting down a good 6 inches for most of southeastern Kentucky. Lexington probably picking up about 4 or 5 from that run. Southern West Virginia, Beckley, foot plus, easy from that run. So as you can see, I had a wide range of models to look at this morning and really didn't know what to forecast because there was no agreement between any of them. You add in the Euro, the UCMET, the JMA, and wasn't a ton of agreement. The general trend has been towards a more western track like the Canadian had been showing, but just not confident at that point to put out totals. So let's fast forward. Let's take a look at the intermediary runs, the 6Z, GFS, and NAM. I don't put a whole lot of stock in these. When we get in scenarios like this, good to look at them, see if any trends that you can pick out. And this one stayed pretty similar to the OZ run, just a touch farther west. Once again, decent snow for southeastern Kentucky, another 2 to 4 inches, a little bit more over towards Pikeville, Harlan, those locations. And southern West Virginia picking up on about 6 to 8 inches. So a little bit lower total wise for southern West Virginia from that run of the GFS, but sort of kind of consistent. It wasn't enough to make me say, okay, let's put a forecast for totals out, but it was enough to make me go, all right, at least we're getting some idea that there's at least a little bit of a trend to the west. Then we look at our friend the 6Z NAM. Once again, convective feedback galore down in the Gulf of Mexico. This model is seriously suffering from convective feedback, which makes you question the rest of the run. Even then, spitting out some decent snowfall for southern West Virginia, 4 to 6 inches, a little bit less in eastern Kentucky. So I was like, yeah, okay. There's Another different set of data to look at. Now we're going to the GFS from 12Z, or started at 7 a.m. this morning, just got done before I went on the air at noon, and this one was, whoa, looking similar to the OZ Canadian. Could we get some agreement? Yes, a little bit. Enough snow that made me put out snowfall totals for the noon show today. And I said 5 to 10 inches across most of southern West Virginia, and I'm sticking with that. Although I may have to change my tune after looking at some of the latest data. 12Z NAM, hey, more convective feedback. Big surprise there. My highlighting tool will work. Yeah, there we go. Right there. John Madden, eat your heart out, even though my telestrator is probably not working as well as yours did. Anyway, that low continues track off the coast. Once again, going with the whole double barrel low scenario. And the NAM is just really, really suffering from convective feedback, and I think it's throwing the whole runoff. It's skewing everything too far south and too far east, and I'm just not sure that I buy it. Then the 12Z Canadian came in, and the Canadian has been absolutely rock solid the last couple of days, showing big snow, and all of a sudden, where'd the snow go? Going back to Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday morning, no snow, light rain. Yeah, not much of anything on that run of the Canadian. So where does that put us? Well, let's look at snowfall totals from some of the different models. This was the 6Z GFS, 2 to 4 inches for most of southeastern Kentucky, 4 to 6 in the highest elevations, and 4 to 6 for most of southern West Virginia. The 6Z NAM, not much for Kentucky, generally less than 3 inches, except in the highest elevations, but southern West Virginia gets plastered with at least 6 inches across most of the area. Not much back up towards Charleston, Huntington region. Let's go 12Z GFS, which is showing 2 to 4 inches for most of southern Kentucky, with 6 inches plus in far eastern Kentucky, and southern West Virginia. Hello, bullseye. You see that little bullseye of blue right in there? Once again, my telestrator not wanting to. Well, it's hard to show yellow on that. Let's try a little red. Yeah, right in there. That's a definite 10-inch bullseye. Yeah, that's a good bit of snow across southern West Virginia according to the GFS. And then the 12Z NAM, little snow. Far eastern Kentucky, 2 to 4 inches. Nothing for London, nothing for Lexington, nothing for Bowling Green, and southern West Virginia gets like 2 to 6 inches, just depending on where you are. Well, we'll say 3 to 6, just for roundness sake. So there you go. That's what the models are showing. Let's throw that junk out and talk about what I think is going to happen. Here's a look at through Google Earth. This is what I think the track of the low is going to be. We're going to start it off Tuesday morning, low centered somewhere over southern Louisiana. By Wednesday around midnight, somewhere southeast of Atlanta, maybe close to Savannah, Georgia. By Wednesday early afternoon, east of Charlotte. And then by Thursday morning, the low somewhere off the coast of Massachusetts. That's what I think is going to happen with this low. Now, assuming this path is correct, and that notice I put a little cone of uncertainty on here in the orange. It could go a little bit to the west or to the east of my track. Here's what I think snowfall totals are going to do across eastern Kentucky and southern West Virginia. I think if you are in this area of red, that is going to be a 5-inch plus snowfall. I don't want to get into specifics yet, but that's a general idea. You're over here in this little ring of purple, which pretty much stretches just west of Interstate 75 up towards Huntington. I think at least 3 inches of snowfall. That does almost include the Lexington Metro. And if you're over in this area of blue, well, sorry about your luck. I think 1 inch plus. Probably somewhere in the range, honestly, of about 1 to 3. How high do those totals go? Still a bit up in the air. I think Eastern Kentucky, Southern West Virginia, this could easily turn out to be a 6 to 10 inch snowfall, maybe even higher in portions of Southern West Virginia. I think for the Kanawha Valley, back over towards Lexington, down towards London, I think this is a general 3 to 6 inch snowfall. I think the farther east you are and the farther south you are, the more snow you're going to see. Um, Louisville, Lexington, Bowling Green, not going to be a big deal, I don't think. I think Louisville, inch or two, Bowling Green, inch or two, Lexington, inch or two, maybe three. I think just the storm is going to be maybe just a bit too far to the south to really crank up those totals in central Kentucky. But I could be wrong. That's just my thoughts right now. I'll have more as we get more model data in, but that's my thoughts as of now. We're going 11 minutes, so I'm going to cut this off. Have a great day and stay tuned, and I will have more updates throughout the day and tomorrow.